why I quit my school job after 17 years. I was in public education. I worked as a guidance counselor in high schools and middle schools. 17 years later, here's why I quit. So, first off, let's start at the beginning. Initially, I thought of a career in education while I was still in high school and I had my aptitude test. Number one choice was bricklayer, but number two was elementary school teacher. And after volunteering in a class one day, I realized dealing with 30 plus kids was going to be way too much. So while in college, I'd taken some psychology classes. I hadn't picked a major yet. I decided I'm going to make psych my major and I was going to be a school counselor. And every time I told people this, they always told me the same thing. Their school counselor was worthless and didn't help them or anything. But that actually motivated me more because I thought I can make a difference and help kids. I'll be the good school counselor. I'm going to be a good one. So many people had bad school counselors. I'm going to be the good one. And I think for me personally, I was maybe lost a little bit as a teenager and I could have used some of that guidance. And I thought I could make a difference if I was that counselor. So I also remember in 1989, the Columbine school shooting happened, and that motivated me even more to be a school counselor because I thought the world needs this, right? They actually need somebody who gives a shit about kids and doesn't want them to go down a dark path. And I thought if I was a counselor at Columbine, this wouldn't have happened there. And I would have worked with those kids and got to the root of their issues and helped them do something else with their lives that would have made the world better instead of inflicting a ripple effect of pain and suffering on the world. So it was a long struggle to get that degree in counseling. I had to do the internships and get certified. But after 7 years of college and internships, I was officially a school counselor. So when I got my job, I was so excited. I remember having my own office and everything, and I was ready to work, ready to change the world. My goal was to help kids and help as many as I could. That was really all I wanted to do. And I think one of the first shocking things to me when I started working in the schools was how many people that work there don't seem to like kids. And they are annoyed by them. They're mean to them. They complain about them. And that right there should have been a clue to me that maybe this isn't the right fit for me because, again, my goal was to help kids. And a lot of the staff I worked with seemed to be against that. They were more concerned about forms being filled out and things like that. So I worked in both middle schools and high schools. And it just seemed to be a slow decline in terms of my happiness and fulfillment with this career. There's really too much to get into with all that, everything that's wrong with our education system. I think that's a separate video, but I strongly believe that the education system is broken and it does need a complete rehaul. But the important thing for me and my journey of 17 years working in education in middle school and high school and in two different states was that I was completely burned out. So you could call it a midlife crisis, but life expectancy is about 79 right now, less for males, 76, I think. And if you're working in public education, you're probably going to have to work until you're about 65. So you're then going to have about maybe 10 to 15 years of retirement, maybe more, maybe less. With a public education pension or retirement, it's probably not a lot. And when you're older, you won't be able to do all the things that you can do when you're younger. So physically, you may not be able to do some of the things, and even mentally, and you might just not have the energy. So I think getting older and closer to that age, you start to realize you do not have as much time left as you thought you had. And I was very unhappy and burned out in my job. I didn't see it getting better anytime soon. In fact, things had gotten progressively worse over the 17 years when I started. And so I kind of had an exit plan the last few years, and I was going to try to find something else within 5 years. Well, I think it was year 3 of that plan. And I just said, I can't do this. So you think like, what is holding you back from quitting a job that you hate? Usually it's fear, fear that you can't pay your rent or mortgage or your bills. You won't be able to find a job that pays as much. And with education, you figure, well, you're not gonna be able to find anything that gives you that much time off. And that is a big advantage. But it got to the point with me where it felt like rock bottom. And I was so unhappy in my job that it consumed me. It was hard to get out of bed in the morning. And even the time off that I had, I didn't really enjoy it because I just kept thinking about having to go back to the school. And so I think finally my biggest fear of being broke and homeless, that actually seemed like a little bit of an upgrade over working a job I hate. And I figured worst case scenario, I can do ride shares with my car. I'd be working more hours and making less money, but I won't ever have to set foot in a school again. And at this point, that actually appealed to me. So I had enough money to get me through the summer. So I thought I'd start exploring things, and I applied to a variety of jobs. And then, of course, I started this podcast, and I didn't have much of an idea of what it was going to be, just something to do with things that relate to things that I'm interested in. So I started interviewing comedians, musicians, athletes, authors, and other people that I was interested in and I was a fan of, and I was trying to learn from them. And most of the people I had on my show so far are living their dream, right? They follow their passion and they're very happy, much happier than a majority of the people I was around in public education. So this was very refreshing to me. And I thought, okay, I might have something here. I love doing this. I enjoy it. And then other people are telling me that they also enjoy the podcast as well. And I thought, okay, I think I'm on to something here. Am I at the Joe Rogan level with multi-million-dollar Spotify deal? No, but I think I'm on the right path. And I've now monetized my YouTube channel, and I'm working on some other projects that will bring in more money and lead me down where I want to be. But the important thing is that I'm happier than when I worked in the schools. Am I where I want to be? No, but I'm closer on that path and way closer to fulfillment than I was 4 years ago. So when I reflect back almost 4 years later, do I have any regrets of quitting my job in education? The only regret is that I didn't do it sooner. I don't miss anything about it. I'm still able to pay my bills. I could still take time off to travel. And now it's on my schedule and not the school schedule. And I think back on my 17 years in education, and I wonder if it was worth it. Like, did I help anyone? Did I make a difference? I don't know. Maybe a little bit here and there. Did kids' lives have a dramatic change because of the work I did? Probably not. So was it a waste of 17 years? Maybe. But I also think that I learned a lot in that time. And it took this long to go down that path of what I really want to do. So I always knew when I quit that I could always come back if I needed to. And the thing is once you get away from something like that, that you don't like and that makes you unhappy, then you realize even more how toxic it was, and you don't miss it. You're truly going to find some happiness. Again, maybe not utter total fulfillment, but you're going to be a lot happier. And I'm not saying that working in a school is toxic for everyone. I'm just telling you my experience. It was not a good fit for me. I saw other people working in education, teachers, counselors, administrators, that were very happy. And I questioned if I was depressed because these people can be so happy here. Why can't I? And I questioned, like, does that mean there's something wrong with me or something wrong with these jobs? And I don't know that there is. I think it just wasn't, again, it wasn't a good fit for me. So you have to ask yourself the same thing. Is working in a school a good fit for you now? It may have been 15 years ago, but is it now? And that can be applied to almost any job, not just school jobs, also relationships or a living location, a lot of things. It's not about good or bad or who's better or who's worse. It's, are they a good fit for you? And you may think it's selfish to quit on some of those things, but I think it's more selfish to pretend to be happy in something you don't enjoy. And I just think those people with those school jobs, I hope the people that took over for me in doing those jobs are happy doing that. And maybe they love the job, and that's good for them and the kids and the people that they work with. And that same principle can be applied to a business partnership or relationship. If you're not happy, why be selfish and stay there when you can give that spot to somebody else who would truly be happy in that partnership or job or relationship? You're really denying someone else happiness by staying there, and you're also denying yourself happiness. So it really makes no sense. When I look back at the decision making, I think one of the best decisions that I ever made besides quitting education was moving from Washington State to Arizona. And people down here thought I was crazy because they think Washington is so beautiful. But for me, I just got tired of overcast skies, the traffic, and a host of other things. And I'm much happier living here where it's sunny every day. And I'm much happier after quitting education. Two huge decisions that involved a lot of risk, but paid off for me big time. And I'm a fan of Tony Robbins. And if you ever listen to him, he always talks about taking massive action. And I see why, especially if you're feeling stuck or unhappy, you have to make a change. And it may seem scary or impossible, but sometimes you just have to pull the trigger. So my advice to you is to ask yourself, like, what value do you bring to this world? And look at your strengths, your interests, and things that can make you money, and try to find some things that make sense to you that can take care of all three of those things. And I know a lot of you will say, well, I can't quit my job, I need the money, but there are ways to make things work, right? You can shuffle some funds around. You may need to take out some loans, use some credit cards, adjust your cost of living. Maybe you have to move in with a friend or family member temporarily, but you can make it happen, and I'm proof. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you made it through this whole thing, let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. Do you or someone you know have a similar experience? Is there something you disagree with? Do you want to see more about this topic or something else? Let me know in the comments. Thanks. Have a great day. And remember, shoot for the moon.